Today I'm putting together a YouTube sub counter, same as the Hackmake mod one. I figured if I had a constant in-your-face reminder of how many subs I get or don't get, it'll inspire me to make more videos. Well, that's the theory anyway. So essentially we start with the microcontroller, LED matrices, cables, 3D printed case. Now we need to attach each 8x32 to each other so we get a decent sized scrolling effect panel. And we just got to connect those two up carefully and as neatly as possible. And like I said before, my soldering is 5 odd years rusty. At least I remember which end of the soldering iron to use. It's an easy build. However, my skills are super rusty. Also, my toolbox is pretty sparse, as I left all my tools in another country. I've always tended to solder one end first and the other end, then fill in the middle. Seems to distribute the heat better, and it makes everything line up nicer. Now comes the shit show. We'll just take it one step at a time and see how it goes. The cables that came with those panels are, I'm not even sure they're copper. In summary, we're going to attempt some soldering, some assembly, some printing, a bit of copy-paste coding, some swearing, and even a bit of bleeding. Instead of editing the video to show how easy and smooth the whole process is, I'm going to opt for a more raw behind-the-scenes edit. It's more entertaining that way, I think. I can't believe I thought that it would be therapeutic. All I do is swear and bleed. First, we're going to assemble the 8x32 LED matrices. Then I suppose wire in the microcontroller. Possibly rethink my life because of those damn Chinese cables and there's 3-core copper. But anyway, so we'll program the microcontroller. Foreshadowing. This is kind of where it all went wrong. Just like I'm rusty on the soldering, I'm rusty on the Arduino and anything and most things microelectronic. There's dipped here. Either didn't notice or noticed and didn't quite click. Digital out and digital in are two totally different ends, or digitals at least. So I was wiring those cables to the digital out.
And here we see the elder tinkerer. Once a majestic builder of blinking things and beeping what sits, he now fumbles bravely through a jungle of wires, armed only with fading memory and reading glasses from Poundland. Though his soldering hand is shaky and his knees click louder than his multimeter, the instinct survives.
And of course, wires keep breaking. I prefer surface mount. Should so not take this long to solder in 4 wires or 5 wires. Now the first repair of the job.
In the dim glow of the workbench, we find a peculiar specimen, the resoldering man. Fascinatingly, He appears to have dedicated his twilight years to a sacred ritual: strip wire, strip again, solder again. Hours pass, nothing is actually fixed, yet he persists. Some say he's restoring electronics. Others believe he's just in it for the smell of burnt flux and nostalgia. Truly a marvel of inefficient determination.
And that didn't go in. Solder sucker to the rescue. Eventually I gave up on that. And I was like, fuck it. Just solder the wires directly to the pads. I mean, the microcontroller is going to be attached directly onto the back panel of the LCD module anyway. Sorry, LED module. So obviously I have to take off each matrix to get to the pin. Waiting for the iron to heat up. You probably clicked on the wrong video, or someone that knows me gave you the link. As this is the first video, it's probably not going to be any good. But hang in there, can't get much worse.
Our journey begins, as all great sagas do, with a download. The Arduino IDE, a tool as ancient as it is unintuitive. He installs it confidently, then immediately forgets where it went. Next come the drivers, obscure NodeMCU USB drivers, and assorted dependencies that may or may not brick his laptop. He installs them all, blindly trusting unsigned packages from forums written in broken English, and hope. He clicks "I agreed" to terms no living human has ever read. Somewhere a lawyer smiles. The IDE boots up, blank, empty, innocent. But it demands updates. So he waits, watching progress bars creep forward at glacial speed as internal libraries and board definitions are brought kicking and screaming into the present. Then begins the true trial. Hardware libraries. One by one, he installs them. Displays, sensors, weird knockoff modules from AliExpress. Some work, some do not. Some crash the IDE. With the IDE now tamed, our brave tinkerer ventures deeper into the domain of the internet itself. He seeks access to the sacred YouTube API, graciously conjured by some online tech wizard, possibly wearing a hoodie and running purely on caffeine. This API whispers secrets, subscriber counts, view totals, even the time of day, but only to those worthy. And so he enters the required offerings, channel ID, API key, time zone, and probably his soul. With a single click, the website performs alchemy, transforming raw numbers into pre-generated code. Glorious, glorious copy-pastable code. He copies it ceremonially and pastes it into the IDE like an old priest laying scrolls upon an altar. Now his humble device shall reach out across the void, tapping into YouTube itself, not to upload or watch videos, but to count, to display numbers, to bring digital clout to a tiny glowing screen on his desk. It is done, for now.
Ow. Ow, 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 motherfucker. PC boards are sharp. Anywho, okay, so yeah. Trying to figure out which digital pins are which, and which go to chip select clock, digital in, ground, etc, etc. Ironically, I got everything right. Can't see half this shit. And those wires are atrocious. They don't bend. You bend them too much, they break. You solder them, they break. You don't solder them, they break. Listen, don't on that. Fortunately, of all the soldering I did, no solder bridges, which I was quite impressed with. Even though I could see almost fuck all. And here comes the first repair. Or was it the second repair? I've lost track. I still can't believe I didn't have it on the right pin. And now to power it on. See how well it works. So back to the drawing board.
1 hour later.
First thing I did was, I think I kind of lost my temper and gave up. I was like, nah, fuck this shit. I'm done. But then, after quite a bit of thought, I thought, fuck, there has to be another way. Let me do another microcontroller. Maybe I fucked up the last one, but I didn't. So I added pins to another one, re-uploaded the same code, but connected it to the other side of the LED panel, and lo and behold, works like a charm. So yeah, it was a insufficient user intelligence error. Just to double check. Oh, that's another thing I did. just to make sure that the microcontroller was working. I just installed a Blink test on it, and it was working fine. So it wasn't the controller. So I added the original controller to the other side, and lo and behold, it worked like a charm. So yeah, once I wired everything up and I was happy, obviously I did print the case. It was a bit loud printing it out of clear PLA. The thing is quite bright, but you can turn down the intensity in the code. So yeah, printing was the easiest part. So plug it in, make sure everything's working, and Bob's your uncle. And the keen-eyed people among you would have noticed the time difference between shots on the LED panel. I think the whole thing probably took me like an hour or 12. Get rid of plastic packaging. Yeet. And originally I tried to use a different cable that would not stay in, and eventually substituted it for a decent one. Once again, before assembling or putting anything in boxes, the electronic gods demand that they be tested without an enclosure first. Obviously trim off those legs so it would actually fit in the box. Now that I think about it, I could have actually left those legs on the other side and made the whole thing modular so you could plug multiple into each other. But anyway, that's an idea for another project. Fits in nicely. Please God work. Oh, there we go. Hey. Woohoo! Let's go. Now it lives underneath my PC monitor, giving me a 24/7 constant reminder of how much I like.
And so the project comes to a close. The lights blink, the data flows. A humble display now speaks the language of YouTube. Subs, views, and time, all fed by the cloud and powered by coffee. Now he waits for feedback, for signs of life in the comment section, for likes, perhaps even the mythical subscription. And as fate would have it, his next target has already arrived, a wounded Nintendo Switch. Fragile, mysterious, expensive. Will he fix it or destroy it in glorious fashion? Only time and subscribers will tell. Until then, later.